So, I sit at my desk in Long Island, mulling over mundane paperwork, and the phone rings. Mrs. Morelli, it's my 9th grade son, Joseph's high school guidance counselor. Joseph's struggling, and I'm sorry to tell you this, but we don't think he's high school material. What was the guidance counselor talking about? Now, yes, Joseph had struggled with reading. Starting at the age of 6, he had been pulled out for resource room and extra help. His grammar and spelling were horrific, and his handwriting was chicken scratch. But he excelled in math and science. Joseph had the classic signs of dyslexia. And like many of us, we didn't recognize them. Looking back, there were signs, many unappreciated. As a child, he was slow to speak and to read. How many remember the book Cat in the Hat? Right? Cat in the Hat? Read it to your kids. Oh, that was quite the challenge. Joseph really struggled with the Cat in the Hat, and we would ask him, can you not read this? The elementary teachers would tell us, don't worry, he's a boy. He's the firstborn. I swear this is what they told me. He's the firstborn. He'll learn. He's average. He'll catch up. Don't worry. Now, Joseph had so many amazing qualities, and he was so bright. When he was in 8th grade, he repaired our electric garage door opener. But guess what? He didn't use an instruction manual. That should have been a hint. And when something needed to be fixed, who did we ask? We asked Joseph. Whether he was creating, building, repairing his Legos, the fort in the backyard, or his dirt bike, he had a smile on his face. And in 9th grade, he went around the neighborhood and he collected discarded electronics, fax machines, printers, radios. Joseph needed money. He repaired them and he sold them on eBay. He was quite the entrepreneur and the engineer. Now, my husband and I are both doctors, and as patients would trust us for their health care, we trusted the school system. We felt betrayed when they told us that he was not of high school material. We had been asking for years if he had a learning challenge. Look to the two people to your right. You're right. Look to the two people to your left. Chances are, 1 of 5 of you may have dyslexia. 20% of the population globally has dyslexia. I have dyslexia. And like most dyslexics do, we learn to compensate and work overtime. 2 of my 4 children have dyslexia. And yes, they have me to thank. It is genetic. Dyslexia is thought of as a learning disability, but it's actually a learning difference. Developmental dyslexia has a neurological basis that handicaps individuals with reading and language. A brain wiring difference. It affects how we interpret the written word. And yes, we can remediate it with a structured literacy program, but you can't cure it, and you can't outgrow it. Some people say that dyslexia is a gift. Charles Schwab, Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Henry Winkler, Richard Bronson are all dyslexics. But if you are a child in a classroom and you don't know your gift, you're going to struggle. And you're going to feel dumb, and you're going to feel different. And if you're a parent like myself and you don't know the signs, you keep asking your child, why aren't you working harder? When we got the call from the guidance counselor, Joseph was failing, and he couldn't have been working any harder. As a teenager, he had become moody and withdrawn. But are not all teenagers moody? You probably know what I mean. The hoodies, the music, the headphones, the one-word answers, yeah, nah. Joseph was struggling, and we needed to do something. He ended up struggling with health issues also. And being doctors, We looked for a medical cause. He started to complain about palpitations, headaches, ringing in his ears. We took him to cardiologists, pulmonologists. We even ordered a brain MRI. There was no medical issue. It was all anxiety. Being in a classroom, feeling underwater. Imagine not being able to keep up with the notes or the words on the blackboard. Joseph was even failing math. And if you recall, math was his strong area. He loved math. Why? Math was word problems, and Joseph couldn't read. Joseph needed help. We took him to a neuropsychologist, and with a neuropsych eval, the diagnosis of dyslexia can be made. With a diagnosis, an IEP, Individual Education Plan, is possible. This enables the students to get the resources and the accommodations they need. Extra time on tests, books on tape, notes, tests being given verbally. With those accommodations, you can actually help a student learn. The doctor, matter-of-factly, told us, Joseph's very bright and he's struggling, but my biggest concern is his depression. He needs medication immediately. I now became the parent fighting for my child. He was clearly dyslexic, but more concerning was the depression, the anxiety, the sense of failure. Students with learning challenges have a higher rate of anxiety, depression, and even suicide. Why? Low self-esteem. These kids need the accommodations. They struggle so hard. They work so hard. They learn the tricks that they need to get by, but they slip by. And when the work gets too hard, they fail. They drop out of school. 80% of juvenile delinquents struggle to read. Think about that. That's staggering. How did we miss this all with Joseph? It had been so gradual. And the guilt we felt as parents was tremendous. We fought for Joseph to get the accommodations in school. We even had to hire a lawyer. But with those accommodations, he went from failing 9th grade to high honors in 10th. That's what those accommodations do for these students. The fall of 2012, Joseph enters here in Bozeman. This is my tie to MSU. Joseph loved Bozeman, the beautiful landscape, the skiing, the hiking, the fishing. He connected with the people, teachers, faculty, his classmates. He always had a smile and a hug to share. When Joseph was a junior, he was thriving. He was confident. He was making Dean's List. He really was enjoying what he was doing, and he always loved coming back to school. A young man in flannels who would enter to the room, and people would gravitate to him. He even stopped his antidepressants. And when we asked him why, he said simply, "I feel good about myself." This is the hard part. The fall of 2014, we got the knock on the door. It's a moment in time which I will never forget. Our son had been killed camping in West Yellowstone. He was only 20 years old. The void, the pain, will never go away. We pulled together as a family. We needed to do something positive. There had to be other students out there like Joseph who were struggling, who were going undiagnosed. We could help them. We could provide financial support, emotional support, awareness of the resources, and we can also teach them about their potential. My son's legacy is the Joseph James Morelli Legacy Foundation for students with learning challenges pursuing science, technology, engineering, and math. Since 2014, we have provided close to 100 scholarships to students in 22 states. The need is huge, as we see from hundreds of applicants that we receive every year, and we can only help a small portion of them. Lainey Oliver, and I've had the pleasure of meeting her mom here today, Heidi, is an MSU senior about to graduate and an awardee, and she tells us the scholarship provides a way for students to dream big. Their challenges are not alone. Colin Barker, we've been supporting him now for 3 years. He was able to do an unpaid summer internship with the Boston Aquarium. He won an award, and he is now graduating next year with a degree in marine biology. The biggest impact of the scholarship is not the financial support, it's the acknowledgement, it's the morale booster. Joseph's story inspires them. And their story inspires us. The scholarship recognizes and validates their struggles academically, emotionally, and socially for an invisible disability. My dream, my goal, is to help society and dyslexic students tap into their potential. Now you may say, what can I do? What can we do? I invite you to question yourselves, teachers, counselors, school systems, sometimes even legislatures, on why a student may be struggling, no matter what age. Dyslexia gets missed. Learning challenges get missed. By questioning, we can increase the number of students who stay in school, graduate, and succeed. Imagine what's possible by being a society that advocates and can recognize challenges of any individual. We can tap into potential, we can tap into creativity, and we can tap into the engineering skills of students like Joseph. Thank you.